Almost everyone in the neighborhood wanted this little girl who was abandoned by her biological mother only a few months after her birth in exchange of welfare, money, cows, and so much more to this poor old lady who refused and decided to raise her in her poverty for what she says, "I couldn't send my daughter." My name's Mary MUKAKABANO. I only live here with this little angel. In 10 boys that I have given birth to, 7 of them were killed in genocide against the Tutsis, along with my husband, and the rest 3 have married.
Kuvuga muri genocide. Okay.
After my husband were killed on our way to Congo, trying to escape, I kept running and lived in RD Congo for a while. Coming back in my country, my house was damaged and the neighbors helped me to rebuild this. I was living alone for so many years and then God sent me a daughter. The 70-year-old Mary told the stream that one day she woke up in early morning going to harvest her beans, and while she arrived at a place called the King Street, she met a young lady whom they have never seen before in their neighborhood, having a baby in her arms, and so she greeted her, asking for water. Mary brought the lady to her house, and while she was looking for a cup to give her water, she was already left leaving the little angel outside her house. The poor Mary was shocked and went to all her neighbors asking if they could have seen the woman, and she did that by describing what she was wearing, and everyone she asked told her that they haven't seen that kind of person. And after some minutes waiting for her to come back, she stood up and went to buy her some milk. Then at the moment, she had no vacuum flask, and so she bought the milk in a small bottle, putting it in the clothes, trying to protect them from getting cold or spoiled. This is what she did for so many years before Keza ran eating. It was Easter when Keza's mother came back in the neighborhood where she had left her child to see for herself if she might have died, Mary said. She came back to see if her baby were dead. I was here and I saw her coming to me. She came and greeted me looking so shameful and never dared to hold her baby. Instead, she started bringing excuses and saying she was weightless, and so that day she left her baby, she was called by her boss and wanting her to be there right away. In the moment, I immediately asked her why she dared to leave the child behind with nothing left for her to eat or to wear, and she kept quiet. And after some minutes talking nonsense to me, I tried to make her come with me to the neighbor who was celebrating Easter, but again she refused, saying that she's tired, and I asked myself what to do to her. And that is when I came up with the idea of calling the authorities without letting her know. They come and ask her the same questions I have asked her, and again she started lying and telling so many lies. I remember she left the Keza where she was very young. She was about a month, and that day she came back where she was 2 years old. After so long discussion, Mary told the authorities that she has forgiven her, but asked them to tell her to take her child with her. At the moment, Keza's mother said she has no ticket, and so one of Mary's child went in the house and brought 2,100 francs and gave it to her as a ticket, but she came up with some other excuses, saying she has nothing to carry the baby in. And the moment, one of the women who were there on a visit to Mary's house agreed to accompany her to the bus station, killing her baby. And once they arrived there at the bus station called Nyabugogo, she wrote to her telling her to go and buy some milk with bread for the baby as she disappears again. It was in evening when that person came back with the baby, and I kicked her out too, telling her that we gave the baby to her mother in public, and now what are you doing bringing her back? The baby loved me so much that she heard me talking and started crying, and I woke up and opened the door, carried her, and she keeps quiet. Even if at the night Mary agrees on letting them in, they had to call the authorities again the next morning for finding a solution to whom is going to keep the child. And the authorities told Mary to be calmed, for what Kezi's mother did to the person was the same as the first time leaving Kezi at 1 month. The poor Mary, who was really in love with this baby, accepted and understood. The same time she agrees to raise Kezi as her own child, especially since she had never given birth to any daughter. Almost every rich person in the neighborhood wanted the baby in exchange to welfare, money, cows, and so much more to this poor Mary, but she refused and decided to raise her in her poverty. One day I went to the hospital to vaccinate her, and the doctors wanted to take her from me. I arrived to the hospital and gave them her card, and so we waited for her to be called up and so that they can vaccinate her. But the doctors did not call us. Instead, one of them came to me and carry her and also take me aside, saying that I should give them my child and that they will give me everything, a better life, money, whatever. But I immediately refused, but they kept insisting and not wanting to give my child back. So I took my decision of going to the police station. That was when they agreed to give back my baby Kezi, and I started feeding her again. She was really hungry. After Mary seeing all this, she told herself the advice of going and register her baby as her own child in the child administration. But again, she met another woman who works in the child administration, also wanting the same thing, of her exchanging Kezi to welfare, money, a good house, and so much more. But she refused again, as the lady in administration also refused to register her, and so Mary decided to go in higher authorities. That is when the woman agreed to register her as her own child. Mary continued telling the stream that after the registration, she went back home and waited for years for Kezi's mother, until today. Now Kezi has turned 11. Her mother never looked back. In her early ages, Kezi never raised normally as any other child, for Mary could not one day find money to buy her milk, but because she's a farmer, she would prepare local Rwandan beer called the Chigaje from sorghum, and that is how she raised her God-sent daughter. By the time Kezi had to start school, Mary tried to take her to nursery school, but she suddenly got mysterious illness, which doctors couldn't even relate, and the poor Mary, who could not afford higher health care, got to treat her by herself traditionally, and after months she got recovered but suspended that year of nursery school. I could not let her repeat the year. She was born genius anyway, so the teachers gave something like a test where they told her to write something, and so she did. That is why they agreed not to let her repeat nursery, because we all realized how clever she was, and so they let her start her primary right away. She's always number one. Even though all her years at school, Kezi has been studying for free, because Mary, who is now like her mother, is well known the poor, and so the authorities never ask us for the school fees. The life is still hard for both of them, for it's hard to eat, to buy new clothes, or even new uniforms, or let me say the other basic needs. It's still hard for them. On the other hand, all her sons, who have been married now, none of them has helped her to raise Kezi. After being curious of knowing if her mother comes back, will she let her take Kezi at this age? With no hesitation, Mary told the stream that she has already forgiven her mother, and if she would reward her for raising her child, she will let her take Kezi. But surprisingly, Kezi did not see it in that way. I can't go with my mother. I can't leave my granny because she's the one I'm used to being with. Yeah, I cannot tell her bad words or something, but again, I cannot go with her. Keza told us that after hearing her story of how her mother abandoned her, she said that she had never get angry of her mother. Instead, I took this as something not so hard for me to accept, she said. If you feel like you have a heart of helping, please find their number down in the description.